All right, it's 10 o'clock. Yes, yes, city time. Good day, everyone. You're all welcome to today's session. I'm happy to have you here. And today we are opportunity to have our guest speakers. Well, I think you guys recommended that like I should go talk to her to come talk to us today. So yes, I don't know. I would let her introduce herself, but yes, I want to just let you know that she's ready for us to talk to us about navigating letter recommendation challenges and a lot more. So please, I will encourage everybody to pay attention. Don't just be joining, going, coming in. Pay attention so you don't miss out on any details. And I can assure you, you're gonna get a lot of insight. Even me myself, I'm here to learn. So please, let's pay attention. And as you're joining this section, please mute yourself and let's avoid distractions. We are all adults. So, yes, over to you, Feyipitan. Thank you so much for doing this for us. I really appreciate you.
Of course, of course. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Olamide, for inviting me. And that's interesting to hear that people were recommending me. I don't know what you guys think I know, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so before we get started, where is everyone? Go ahead and message the people in your group, send the link to your friend. Let me give you a minute or so to do that. Let's fill this room with people because I'm about to share with you some real strategies and secrets and methods that you are going to be very happy that you are a part of this workshop to learn this. So let me give you a minute. Send this link to your friend. Tell them you're about to learn something about recommendation letters. Those people who have been getting what you guys call love letters. It might just be that your letter of recommendation is the problem. Do you have a professor who you're not able to connect with or who you're not able to get through to? Let me see like five more people joining and we'll get started. In the meantime, I want to know where are you joining us from? Let me know in the chat. Um, your name and your name and your location. I don't know if I was sharing the right thing. Okay. Your name and your location. Good. I can hear the chime sounding, so it means that people are here. Good, good, good. Let me see who else. Who else is here? Your name and your location. Let me know in the chat box. Who is here? Hi, Dolapo from Ibadan. Hi, Abasiem from Owerri. Ayodeji from Lagos. Who else? Daisy from Ibadan. Oluwayemi from Lagos. Ken from Abuja. Ruth from Oshun. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? How are you guys doing? Let me feel the energy. Where are people's videos? I want to see your faces. I want to look at you. Where are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling this morning? Well, afternoon in your time. Hi, Oyindamola from Ile-Ife. And I can hear a few more people dropping in. Well done, well done. How's everyone feeling? Can people talk to me? Can I hear from people? I have an icebreaker coming up, so I want to hear from people. How are people feeling?
Feeling good, feeling pumped.
Good. Hi, Ruth. Thank you for turning on your video. I want to see more faces. Hey, you guys think we're just here to, I'm here to like rap and go. Let's engage. Come on. Hi. Hi, Abasiemek. I say that right. How are you doing? You're muted though if you're speaking. Hi, Dolakbo. Hi, Ayodeji. Good, good, good. Good to see all of you. If you're just joining us, let us know your name and your location in the chat. Looks like a lot of people are from Nigeria, so that's good. My people. Hi, my people. Hi, my Nigeria people. How's everyone doing? You guys are still not saying how you're doing.
We are
That means
fine. No,
people are fighting with
we are
me.
Doing
The
managing this
energy in this room is
inhibitor. No.
low. The energy is not giving. I'm still waiting to feel the
You
vibe.
guys, please, you guys should unmute yourself. This is the time for you to talk now.
Let's engage. This is not a well, I'm not here to just do aspire to
Okay.
perspire. We're here to
Hi.
learn. Hi, hi Ruth. How's
Yes,
everyone?
we are managing. We are managing. We are managing.
Good.
Nigeria
Hi,
is fine.
Olayinka. That's good, good, good. Okay.
Hi,
So,
good evening,
um,
ma'am.
because of time, I'm
Good
going to go
and
ahead to
current
get
evening.
started because I have a lot that I want to teach you this morning. But I have a quick icebreaker for you. Can you guys see my screen? Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Can people see my screen? I don't know. Okay, good,
Yes, I
good.
can.
So delete one from the application process forever. You can either use the chat box to, I'm going to introduce myself, don't worry. You can either use the chat box to give us your responses, or you can unmute yourself. I'd like two or three people to share. Which one would you delete from the application process forever and why?
Letter of recommendation.
Okay, tell us why. Tell us why. Is that Oluwayemi? Nobody's saying anything. Ayodeji says letter of recommendation. Indamola, letter of recommendation. Okay. Can I get more responses? Delete one from the application process forever. Writing samples too stressful. Okay. Any more people? Somebody else can unmute themselves. Okay, letter of recommendation, because getting a recommender is quite tasking, despite having good relationship. Yep. Letter of recommendation, chasing professors. Yes. Anybody else? Aisha says letter of recs too. Okay, so the general consensus is that the letter of recommendation is one that a lot of people will want to delete forever, and some people said transcript as well. Yes, it's kind of stressful. Yeah, so that is really the point of why we're here today, because I want to teach you how to bridge the gap between your processes and the letter of recommendations. So usually when I teach, I like to see faces. So I would encourage you, if you are able, to turn on your camera just so that I can see the people I'm engaging with and it helps with the teaching. So let's go ahead and get started for today. In today's session, I'm going to do an introduction of myself. We're also going to be talking about the what and how of letters of recommendations. I'm also going to go over some strategies and some things that I have done in the past and I have told students to do in the past that has been helpful for them. And lastly, I will show you some samples and some emails or some ways that you can do outreaches. Okay, good. So are we here? Do people have their writing notes? Do people have their pads, their writing materials? Okay, only Ayodeji has his writing material. Okay, good. Do people have their what do they call it? Their writing pad, iPad, whatever you're using, your laptops and so on. Good. So let's go into a bit of introduction. I will just quickly breeze through this. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you can find the rest of this information. But basically, my name is Feyipitan Sadiku. A lot of people call me Feyipitan. A lot of people call me Feyi. Any one of them is fine. This is me as a little girl. I was initially interested in studying medicine, but I ended up going for psychology at the University of Ghana, Legon. When I was done with undergrad, I worked in 3 different jobs. I worked in counseling, edtech, and education consulting. And through these jobs, I was able to find myself, my skills, and my interests. Fast forward to a few years later, I went to grad school. I came to grad school in 2022 to get my master's in social work. There was a lot of things that happened, but I ended up realizing that it was not the exact place I needed to be. And so in the last 2 or 3 years, I spent a lot of time trying to get to where I want to be, which is the field of learning and development. I want to be able to, continue to do things like this, teach people. I want to be able to create programs and curriculums that will change the way we do education, especially for African youths. There are some other things that I have done. In the last few years, I've worked in edtech, I've done recruitment, I've helped students to develop digital skills, personal branding strategies. I segued into education consulting through Getting Edu, where I've helped over 1,000 plus students achieve their study abroad goals. We did a lot of work, a lot of classes, and a lot of my students are in top schools all around the world. I also currently work as a graduate assistant in an academic community support community where I work with freshmen and sophomore students. So basically, I connect them with academic resources and just any kind of resources that can help them achieve their academic goals on campus. I do workshops. I have one-on-one academic coaching. We talk about boys. We do all kinds of stuff. You know how it is. I'm passionate about learning and development and youth development.
Recommendation
I'm passionate about
not
learning and development, and most recently, I was recognized as a National Peer Mentor Awardee for First Star Academy for the work that I do, and some other things about me. There's still many more things on the way. Watch out. So, all of that out of the way, let's go ahead to talk about the letter of recommendation. So, what is a letter of recommendation? Can I get some answers? What is a letter of recommendation? Again, these are a lot of the first parts of this are things that you already know. So, we're going to go through it quickly, but I would like to hear from you. What is a letter of recommendation? What do you guys feel it is? Responses, responses.
So, hello.
Go ahead, Ayodeji.
Yeah, so I think it's just about like having people speak to your capability, your ability to undergo your graduate studies and all that.
Good, good. So, people basically speaking to your ability, very good. And someone else says it's an approval from the referred people that knows one. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah,
What is a
a
letter of
letter of
recommendation?
recommendation. Can you
Yes.
hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a letter of recommendation is a letter written on your behalf from someone who knows you, either personally or professionally, you know,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
concerning an
So
application to a particular school.
yeah, so someone who knows you. And letters of
Yeah.
recommendations are usually not only for schools anyway. We use it for job applications, for scholarships, for fellowships, and so on. Very good answers. Thank you. So it is basically an attestation that you are who you say you are. There are two sides of your application process. There's the side where you are the one who says, this is who I am, this is where I've been, this is what I've done. And then there's another part where there's evidence. And the evidence can come from your transcript, it can come from your CV, and it can come from your letter of recommendations to back up what you have said. It is a stamp of approval, and it is usually from someone credible. So someone you have worked with in the past, someone that has supervised you, that has worked with you on a project, and so
No,
on. It
yeah,
can
that was
also
the
be
question.
described as a confirmation of your skills. Whew, I'm going to appreciate if people mute themselves because this is going to distract our conversation. Abdul Hamid Ladotun, please be mindful of your phones. Thank you. Okay, so a letter of recommendation is also a confirmation of your skills and experiences. And finally, a letter of recommendation is a soldier that fights for you in your absence. Usually, you don't know what is in your letter of recommendation. So it's something that goes before you to fight for you when you are not there. Okay? Now, there are different ways. Again, these are things I believe you know, so I'm breezing through them. But if you have a question or you have a comment, feel free to put it in the chat. There are different ways that people usually, or a school in this kind of scenario, asks for a letter of recommendation. So, for example, they could ask you to upload yourself. So, just as you would the letter of intent, and this is usually common with UK schools, you are the one who goes ahead to upload your letter of recommendation. Sometimes, or most times in the US, they will ask the recommenders to upload themselves, right? And you will have a part in the form where you put their name, their email address, relationship, and so on. And sometimes they would actually ask that the recommender send directly to the school email. And this is usually common. Let's say we're doing something like this is usually common if you're applying for a scholarship like within the program. So, for example, when I am applying for a scholarship within my school right now, they would usually say that the recommender send their recommendation directly to an email. And I guess they do that maybe when they don't have a portal or something like that. So these are things that people know, but I just have I'm going to do a quick pause here. Does anybody have a question or is there something that is unclear about the what and the how? Okay. So now that we know the what and the how, and I know that if you've gone through the application process, you should be familiar with this. Let's go into the strategies, which is really why you are here. So I'm going to be talking about some things that you can do before you actually get the letters of recommendation, some things you can do during the application process, and some things you can do after. This is my number one tip or starter. Now, let's imagine a lot of you that are here, I'm assuming you might decide that you want to go again for fall 2026. So let's imagine that I know that in August of 2025, application portals are going to open. There are certain things that you should do. And the very first one is create a list. Don't wait till August of 2025 then to start saying, there's one professor. Oh, there's one supervisor. Right now, create a list. Now, my suggestion would be to have at least 10 people on this list. And here are some tips I have. Start from your first year of undergrad. Even if it was a very brief moment that you knew the person, write their name down. Identify former teachers, professors, project supervisors. Identify project leaders, people that you volunteered with, even though they are your colleagues, right? Even though they are your colleagues, they don't have to all be professors and supervisors. If there was someone who was, so let's imagine I was secretary of, what do they call those things? GS, Student Government Union, right? So let's say I was secretary and there was somebody who was the president, write their name down. Identify mentors, people who have been mentors to you in the past. So let's imagine that you were part of a fellowship program and you were assigned a mentor for a period of 3 months. Write their name down. At the end of this, you should have at least 10 people that could potentially write a recommendation for you. When you are done with this list, now rank them in order of importance and strength. And what does that mean? If you worked with a professor for 3 years, their recommendation is definitely going to weigh more than somebody that you worked with for 2 months. So that is what I mean by order of preference or strength. In terms of preference, there may be Professor Achimbong that worked with you for, 2 months, but you have a deeper relationship than somebody else that was your professor, just regular professor. Do that, then gather their contacts. So I'm curious to hear from you. Who else do you feel like can be a mentor, a recommender, or can be on this list? So this is an example of what your list would be like. Professor Tenny was your professor for Chem and Bio. Mrs. Adigun was your supervisor. Miss Grace was a senior colleague for 2 years, and so on and so forth. So suggestions, who else can be on this list, or who are some potential people who could be on this list? Waiting to hear from people. SUG, yes. Anybody else?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I
The-
was thinking, yes, so I was thinking that, and in case the person in question is involved in social impact work
Mhm.
in school,
Yeah.
and for one of his project that he or she successfully led and impact and executed, there was an academic supervisor that supervised the project. Maybe the person supervised the project as required. Maybe the person won a grant and the grant requires that the person is an academic supervisor of that project. I think that that academic supervisor of that social impact project can be a potential recommender.
You're right. Very good. Thank you, Jalakwa. So yes, you worked on a project, even if it was outside of your regular work, outside of your regular school. An employer is an example, your boss at work, clergy or church pastor. It could be, but remember that after you create that list, you have to rank them on preference or strength because some schools will tell you outrightly they don't want someone who is like religious affiliation. So that's something to consider as well. A boss from a volunteering, unless you worked in the church, for example. So if you worked in the church, that could bring in a different dynamics, like if you were employed by the church. But if you were just a member or just an usher, there could be some bias there. So that's why you have to rank it in order of preference. Good examples, guys. VC of your school. Somebody said your secondary school principal. This is actually a very interesting one. I would say to err on the side of caution. When you are choosing this person, and I will tell you why later on. But yes, all of the people that you have mentioned are potentials, and that is why this is a rough draft or a rough list. Very good. Now, after we have created the list, this is the important part. If you don't do this part, you have literally put down, you have basically messed up the process. So let me explain. When you have created this list, you now want to start to solidify the list. So you're going to start from the top. right? Remember that we created a rough draft. We reordered that rough draft. We ranked them in order of preference and strength. And now we want to start to reach out. You want to reach out to each person. Remember, we're using the timeline of I'm applying for fall 2026. Maybe you can wait till, let's say June of this year. You want to reach out to each person with a detailed email, letting them know what you intend to do. Now, some of these people might not use an email, so it might be a text message or so on. But I think you want to document it. You want to ask for a time to talk to you or with you, either in person or in Zoom. You must build a connection with a person before you ask them to be a recommender. Because you were the professor's favorite person does not mean that they really know where you are going. I promise you, I used to work with students and I still work with students. And sometimes people will say, can you write a letter of recommendation for me? And even though I really enjoyed working with that student, I fully don't remember or don't know where they want to be. Make sure you build a connection. So you would ask them, can I sit with you over Zoom or in person? Then go over their influence in your journey. Tell them, this professor, this is what you have done. Oh, I really enjoyed your class. Oh, this is what your class did for me. When we worked together, you really taught me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Share what you have been up to. Highlight where you want to be. Then provide a summary. Now, when you provide a summary of where you're going and where you want to be, ask them specifically, do you think you will have time between September and December of 2025 to write 4 recommendations for me? Get their agreement. Get their verbal agreement. Okay, let's pause here. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Does this make sense? Questions or concerns? I can't see any comments. So are you guys here? I can't see anybody's video. Hey, this group, I'm not feeling your energy. Where's everybody? It makes sense. Okay, question, Ola, let's hear from you. Everybody's just quiet. I can't see videos. I can't see Ginger. We're discussing. I'm not here to just dump on you. I want you to give me, yes, that makes sense. Yes, oh, I did that. Let's talk. Okay, Ola, go ahead.
Now, sorry, thank you very much for the thank you so much. There's just a little question I wanted to ask now. Is about for instance, now if there is someone about to graduate and they're trying to apply for any scholarship but is not yet ready to apply, is it good to like reach out to the maybe the project advisor, like to be, yes, project advisor to be, or some lecturers for getting them aware or anything, like maybe to write any recommendation letter
Of
in
course,
like
there's nothing
sometime.
wrong with that. That's what we're talking about. You want to build connections. Why? Especially if you're still in school, you even have a better advantage because you can build the connection now before you graduate, and then you have to start calling them and chasing them. So why not? You can just mention it to them that in the future you think you want to go to get a graduate program and just ask for their opinions and so on and so forth. Okay, let me show you guys an example of an email. So remember I said, so I went to school in the university. What is going on? Sorry, guys. Okay. I don't know, something. Oh, I was pressing on this. I went to school in the University of Ghana. And so when I was doing my application process, I was in Nigeria, right? I was in Nigeria and there was no way I would be able to like I couldn't travel to Ghana to go talk to the professor. So here's what I did. For each professor, I sent an email. right? I remember I created a list and I had about 4 or 5 professors that I could potentially reach out to, but I started with my top 2. And this is what the email looked like. So I introduced myself. Dear Dr. Jesse Jamira, I trust this email finds you well. My name is Feyi and I was a student of yours. Give details, give context, right? I fondly remember the nature of your classrooms. I liked this. And then I told her what I enjoyed. I told her what I have done since graduation and what I was currently doing. And then I told her what I wanted to do, which is to apply for graduate school, to pursue a master's in social work. And then I said, I would really like to connect with you. I understand that you are busy. Please feel free to choose a time that is convenient for you and so on. And of course, with this kind of detailed email, the professor responded with a lot of positive feedback. And so we had like a 1 hour Zoom. And on that Zoom, we were just gisting. I was asking her a lot of questions. Oh, tell me about your own journey. You are not here to say, you must write a recommendation for me, sir. No, you are here to learn. So ask them questions. Oh, tell me about your journey. Okay, how did you get to a master's in social work? Oh, how did you get to a doctorate in psychology? What informed your decision? And so on and so forth. You want to make sure that you really spend time also getting to know the professor and allowing them get to know you. So this is a sample email that I would send if I wanted to connect with a professor. You can adapt this to be a text message, and if it's possible, you can even visit your school. So, for example, you went to Unilag and you still live in Lagos. Spend time, go and greet all the professors there. And the one that gives you the most, response, ask them, I would like to sit with you for an hour or two. Do you have some time? And so on. This is now this is another kind of conversation. So this is to a current professor in my current school, and it's the same thing. Now, this professor is someone that I'm still in the school, they still know me, so I don't need to talk too much. And I just told them that I had mentioned to you in the past. So that person, I think it was Ola, who asked about, oh, if I'm still in the program. So you can tell the person, remember that 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I told you this, and then you can tell them what you want to do. I want you to be a recommender for me, but I would love to first talk to you about my goals. Do you have some time in the coming week to chat and so on? And then, you allow them respond. So let's take a pause here. Can I get a feeler for how people feel about this? What do you guys think about this so far?
Well done. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well done. Thank you, ma. Sorry, please, I just want to ask a question.
Yes.
And concerning this recommendation and highlighting people, what if you've talked about you've finished school, you are no more at the particular place and it's a bit far. What if maybe you are currently like somebody like me, I'm currently doing my MSc and I'm almost done. Can I still look for people where I'm doing my MSc to be a recommender?
Hey, why are you yawning like that on national TV? I'm teasing you. Yes, so your question, I mean, of course, like, don't overthink this thing. The thing is, does the person at least know you? And then can you make them know you? Because you are telling me that the person is in your MSc school. Doesn't that even give you more strength than trying to go back to go and look for someone who was in your undergrad maybe 4 or 5 years ago that might not even remember you? If you are currently getting an MSc now, why not? Like, sometimes these things are not, go and meet the professor and sit down with them. Yeah, why not? Why do you want to stress yourself going back to your undergrad if you have access right now to somebody? And even if you're still doing your MSc, still tell them that you have some plans. Not everyone is going to support your plan, but you can start from somewhere. Okay? I don't know who this memory store person is, but your hand is up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, good evening.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I actually want to ask a question regarding what you've said so far. Yeah. So for me, I'm actually like a graduate and currently I'm serving. So you mentioned something about building connections. Yeah. Yeah. During my undergraduate days, I was fortunate to build connections with some lecturers. But then, since I'm out of the university now, quite challenging me reaching out to them. Yeah. So I don't know. Then you said something about building connection and then asking for their leisure time to speak with them, to have a one-to-one conversation or via Zoom with them. Yeah. So I don't know how possible for me. It has been quite challenging reaching out to them so far because sometimes most of them are quite busy. They don't pick calls. Then I'll keep on calling, reaching out, trying to reach out to them like that. So what do you think can be done is in such instances here? So that's my
Okay,
question.
so I will give some tips later on, but I will just tell you a quick story and you can pick up what you want to pick up from there. I had a student when I was working at Getting who had the same issue, right? His professors were not responding and he no longer lived in the same city. And I told him some, and he went through 1 year of applications and it was frustrating. He didn't get what he wanted. And I said, well, you're going to have to do something radical if you're ready to do it. And I said, there are two options I have for you. You either go to a university that is within your school, your city, go to the departments that you are interested in and look for 2 or 3 professors that you can work on short-term projects with. If you work with a professor for 3 months on a short-term project, at the end of it, ask them for free, ask them for a recommendation. If you did a good job, they will give you. Second option I gave him, go back to your school. Go and visit. Go plan a 3 day trip. Go and visit. Start talking to. By this, if you talk to 5 professors, you will get people who will respond to you. And guess what? He did both of those things. He came to the US in January. That's what I'm going to drop for you. Pick what you want from there. Okay, let's go on.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for
So
that.
after you have created this list and you have reached out and you have connected and you have gotten a verbal agreement from them, the next thing you want to do is what I call distribution. When you are distributing, this is a strategic process, right? Usually in the US, schools will ask you for 3 recommenders. First, identify your strongest. So let's say after talking to all of these people, I came up with a list of 7 people who have decided that, yes, we're going to write for you. Identify the people who are the strongest. Divide those people among the toughest schools for you. Let me explain what I mean. So let's say I have Professor Maggie. Professor Maggie was my she was my project supervisor when I was in undergrad. She also taught me, I think, 2 or 3 classes. So she was one of my strongest recommenders. Professor Maggie also has a PhD that she got from UK. So she understands how the Western world works. She's also very committed to making sure that I get to grad school. She was my strongest recommender. And so, because of that, the schools that I felt were the toughest, so let's say I was applying to Harvard, for example, Harvard would have been my toughest application. Professor Maggie would automatically be one of my recommenders for that tough school. Right? So that's what I mean by identify your strongest people. When you identify your strongest people, then disperse them, divide them up among the toughest programs or schools or scholarships. A professor who taught you for just 1 semester, who says, I will write for you, but doesn't really know your story, is not a strong recommender. Now, go to the weakest recommenders. And so let's say Professor Maggie is going to write for my top 3 schools. You can choose a recommender that's not as strong for one of those schools as well, and then a mid recommender. So decide who will go where before you even start your application process. You also want to decide on who will be a backup. Some recommenders will disappoint you, some of them not intentionally, right? So decide who will be a backup. You also want to identify which recommenders need a lot of time because some recommenders, literally, you have to chase them. So you need to know who is going to need more time. Who is the person that if I message them today, by the end of this week, they would have gotten it done. You want to identify all those people. What I'm saying about this distribution is be clear from the beginning which schools and which programs fit which recommenders. When you do that, it will make it so much easier for you, right? So, for example, I'm applying to University of California, Berkeley. You want to say, these are my 3 recommenders. I'm applying to University of Florida. These are my 3 recommenders. Create that spreadsheet before you start your process. That way, you can then email the recommender saying, these are the 3 schools to expect within this time frame. Let me take a quick feeler. How are people feeling about this? Can I hear from you? Is this making sense? Is this new insights? Do you feel like you already know this?
Yeah, this is very, very much insightful, honestly.
So much, wow. This is a new insight, and
You're
I'm
learning,
especially
you're learning, you're enjoying this.
Raja.
Okay, good. Looks like people are on board. Great, 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 great. So now let me give you another secret. This one, I didn't do it in my first round of applications, but I did it in my second round because I learned something new. And this is what I call this one. A lot of students don't do it. See, I'm whispering, is a secret. This is what I call the recommenders document. Let me say this again. I have worked with a lot of students, some of whom I really came to like. But sometimes when a student approaches me for a recommendation, it's not all the time I know what to write off the top of my head. Your professors are teaching hundreds of students each year. At least up to tens of students are working closely with them. They are not going to remember everything about you. You don't expect your recommender to sit down and remember, oh, yes, she did this project. Oh, yes, she did that project. They are not going to remember. So you want to make it easy for them to remember. And this is where the recommenders document comes in place. I will give you an example now. You want to use sections. So basically, this is a summary. It's like expanding on your CV. Think about it like a CV and an SOP coming together to make a baby. That is what your recommenders document is. You will basically give sections that explain what you have done. So make it very concise. I will show you an example. Make it concise, but make it detailed enough that they will be like, oh, yes. And remember, when you meet with them, you will already give them an overview of all of these things. So the recommenders doc, it will not be new. It will just be like a refresher of everything you told them. Now, let me show you guys. So, okay. I'm just going to show you from here. So this mine is really long, but yours can honestly be just 3 pages or even 4 pages, right? So make it simple for them. Remember, these are things that you already told them when you met with them. Are you guys still seeing my screen? Can you see the
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
recommenders doc, not the slides?
Yes, we can see.
What we
Yes,
Okay,
can
ma'am.
see.
good. So I started with just what was my undergraduate journey. And when you're writing your undergraduate journey, keep it simple. What were your achievements? So I graduated with a BSc and I graduated with so GPA. Don't expect your recommenders to know that, yes, Oluwayemisi, A student, because you might have been an A student, but you are not going to be the only A student in your class. You might have even been a 3.8 student, a 5.8 student, but if you were not valedictorian, do you think they're going to remember you? So don't assume anything. Now, when you are done, like I said, give something simple. Like I said, outside of the classroom, I led a group of 10 students. So what is something that you did in college? Keep it simple. That's your undergraduate journey. If this is where you worked with them, you can let them know that. If you didn't work with them, you didn't work, just keep it simple. The next section is work experience. Again, keep it straight to the point. These are the things I have done. This is why this role was important to me. You continue. This is the role I've done. This is where I worked. This is why this was important to me. This is what I did in this role. Put metrics, put numbers. Don't just say, oh, in this, I worked as this, then I worked at this. Put numbers. Can you see? We observed a 70% improvement. We observed a 80% kiniko, and so on. Put numbers. Tell us what you have done. The next thing you can do is tell them what you do outside of the classroom, right? What are some of the things that you do that are still impressive? So for me, I just wrote two basic things, that I do some personal development things and then some volunteering things. This allows them to know you so that they wouldn't just say something like, Bola is a good boy. They can say something like, oh, I am aware that outside of the classroom, Bola also actively contributes to the environment, or Bola also actively contributes to the to his community, and especially if a school values things like that. So make sure that you include that. The next thing is you want to tell them why you are going for your program. Keep it simple, 2 or 3 bullet points. Goals. What are your goals? Like I said, make it very clear. If even if somebody does not fully read this whole document, they can scan it. Okay, she wants to be a professor. Okay, she wants to do assessment. She wants to do this. She wants to do this. Good. You can also let them know, what does success look like to you? What does success look like? You can tell them your wildest dreams. What are some of the things that you would like to achieve, even beyond just your personal, your professional or academic goals? Tell them your strengths, right? So again, keep it simple so that when the person is writing the document, they will not be saying, what is this student good at? Oh, they will just go. So sometimes when you send this, the professor might say, why is this one sending me 5-page document? But trust me, when they are writing, they will go back to these documents and say, okay, strengths. Okay, let me go back. What did she write? Oh, she's very reflective. That's true. That's true. I experienced that about her. Okay, Feyipitan is a very reflective person. She brings new insights into the program. Okay, what else? Goal getter. Yes, that's true. Feyipitan is a goal getter. She does this, and this. That way, your SOP corroborates what your recommenders are saying about you, and your recommenders corroborates what you're saying in your SOP. Are you guys picking what I'm dropping? Let me know. Should I continue? Are you guys picking it up?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
yes,
very
please
well said,
continue.
actually.
Okay, now, if you are not intentional about this thing, your recommenders cannot know what to write unless you were such an exceptional student that you were and even if you are an exceptional student, I still promise you, it is hard to like I have a student I really like now, that I work with, and I like that student because he's just really forward thinking. But if I want to write a recommendation about him, there are a lot of gaps. So, for example, I know that he started an RSO. So, an RSO is like a registered student organization. I don't know the name of the RSO. So, if he said, "Oh, write me a recommender," I will have to start thinking, which RSO is that? Or what is special about the RSO? I know he's goal driven, but to be honest, I actually don't know what his future goals are. I know that he's an A student, but I actually don't know what his GPA is. That is why you have to provide this information. That's why recommenders don't know. That's why they keep writing generic stuff for you, because you are not giving them what you want them to tell about you. Simple. There's no science to it. It's just simple. If no matter, even your friends, there are sometimes that even if you want to recommend your friend to someone, you ask the friend, can you quickly tell me list all the skills you have so that I can tell that person? Is that not so? If you know that your recommender makes your friend makes a dress, sometimes you still have to ask them, do you know how to make corsets? I've not seen you make it before. That is exactly how the whole recommendation process works. So like I said, you can also tell them your weaknesses, but when you're writing your weaknesses, come from a positive angle. This is not a class on interviewing, so I'm not going to talk about how to talk about your weaknesses. And then, give them a little bit, give them a little bit of boost. Let them know that if not for them, not me allowing the Nigerian in me to come out, but let them know that if not for you, this my dreams, it cannot come to pass, literally. So that's a way to do it. Okay, so this is just like crops of what I just showed you. Does anybody have any question about this recommenders? This is my secret. I promise you. I promise you. When I look at the recommendation letters that people write for me, always fantastic. Even though I don't look at it, because I tell them that with integrity, I don't want to look at it so that they're not biased. But I know that my recommendation letters are fire. Okay, questions. Use this strategy and come back and tell me. Ayodeji, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, please. So I have 2 questions actually. Like one is, must your recommender be a professor? Like it cannot be a PhD holder, like a doctor, or just a master holder or something like that. Because I've been hearing you say professor, professor, professor. Like,
I'm using that as a generic
okay.
way to describe it. And also, though, some schools will tell you that they expect professors who have taught you or supervised you. Now, it's
Okay.
possible that you could have 2 professors and someone who was your and someone who was your teaching assistant. You can do that. You can have 1 professor, someone who was your teaching assistant, and 1 manager at work. It just depends on what the school asks for. But a lot of schools usually ask for 2 professors who have either taught you or supervised you on a project. Next question.
Okay, yeah, the second question is, okay, the stress of always going back to meet recommenders, even despite your good relationship with them and everything. There was this professor actually that I requested that he uploads a recommendation letter for me. I used his details, and in fact, I think I pursued this man for like almost 3 months. Like he kept posting me, don't worry, I will upload it. I will call him back. I will upload it. It was so difficult. Like it was really, really difficult for me. At the end of the day, like he did not even meet up with the deadline. So I ended up not using him. So and there are some schools that you cannot edit your recommenders info. Like once you impute their details, you cannot edit. And some of these people, like some of these lecturers, you won't be able to like will not always have them do whatever you want them to do. So sometimes you want to just, replace their details for someone else's details, and it's not just possible. So, for someone who is applying to like maybe 7, 8, or 10 schools, or having like 10 applications, like how do I get to always go back and make them that, oh, I have another
Okay,
application again?
sorry, I'm going to cut you off because of time. Your questions will be answered later. I have some tips to go ahead with, but I'm seeing some questions in the chat that I don't like. Oh, if this professor recommend, if I did, somebody said, can my OND lecturers write recommendation for me? Why not? Like, why are you restricting it to only BSc? If you don't have people in your BSc who can write for you, your OND lecturers can. The only thing I am telling you is rank your recommenders in order from strongest to weakest. Some of you will have to use most of your weakest recommenders because your strongest recommenders are not willing to go on the journey with you. It's as simple as that. Oh, I'm doing a master's currently, but it's only BSc professors I had relationship with. Go for it if that's what you have. However, the rule of thumb is look for the people who are the strongest. It's just like anything. How do I explain it now? Let's imagine you want to buy something and you know that if I go to Mr. Chike, I will get the best price. But Mr. Chike is too far. It's 2 towns away. I will have to spend extra 500 naira to get to Mr. Chike. However, there's Mrs. Ayodeji who is selling the same thing at a little bit, maybe 2,000 naira more. But because of access, because of proximity, I will go meet with Mrs. Ayodeji. Please, do we still have what we have or do we not have it? You still have the thing, right? So don't overthink it. Quality of the letter is always stronger than, oh, the person was this big professor. It's not about name of the professor. You should focus on quality of the letter. When I was doing my first grad school application, 2 of my colleagues wrote recommendation letters for me because that is what I had. And I got into all the schools. They wrote my recommendation letters for me when I was coming to my social work degree because that is what I had at the time, right? Yes, I had a manager who also wrote for some of them. But that's how I distributed it. 1 professor, 1 current manager, and 1 colleague, because that is what I had. Now, this year, when I was doing my applications again, I didn't really need a colleague because I had more supervisors. I'd done more work over the years. I had more professors. I had more people who were interested in writing for me. If you are a fresh undergrad, for example, you might not have a previous manager, a previous supervisor. If you have a colleague, if you use it, the only thing we are talking about is strength. Focus on strength. And that's why I said, let your strongest recommenders go to your hardest or toughest schools so that your mid recommenders, you can then spread them across the rest. So it's not about, oh, I did OND or I did BSc, I did MSc or I did BSc, I'm a fresh grad. You guys are missing the point. Quality. You guys know that sign that Gen Z people use. Quality greater than all these other things you are saying. Oh, who be this person? So sorry, I forgot that this is recorded. In a case you're working in a place, and so what you guys are still saying this. I'm still saying the same thing. You are working in a place that's different from the degree, and so what? Aren't you going to include that in your SOP? There's something called transferable skills. So you present that, right? The person, remember, is the quality. What are they saying about you? Everything is not about skills. Yes, there are some recommenders that must focus on your skills that directly relate to the program, right? But some recommenders can just focus on who you are, character, and what you have done and where you are going. Don't overthink it. Quality. Oh, Jim. Okay, I'm going to continue. So when you are done with identifying these recommenders and you have created this recommenders doc, this is the kind of detailed email. Everybody look at the screen. This is the kind of detailed email you want to then send to the recommenders. Now, remember, we have spoken to them, number one. We have given them a rundown of what we want, number two. Number three, they have agreed that they are going to write our recommendation letters for us. Number four, follow up time with timeliness. Remember what I said. You must have decided who is going to go to where, who is going to do what, so that when you are sending them the things, don't send a recommender, August, write recommendation for me. October, write recommendation for me. December, write recommendation for me. February. It's frustrating. Imagine they're receiving that from 10 students. It is frustrating. Don't do that. And that's why recommenders ghost you. Give them the recommendation request at the same time. And here are some ways to do that. Look at my email. Dear Professor, I trust that you are well. I'm working on submitting XYZ applications this coming week, and I wanted to give you a heads up. I have attached my CV. I have also done this. For each school I applied to, I focused on this. Then, for now, I am sending to you 1, 2, 3. You should receive these emails in the next week, and so on. Now, this email is missing something. Oh, I don't think I have a different example. Another example, another thing that you should add to this email is please tell them the specific thing you want them to write your recommendation on. Let's say I'm reaching out to him. So this professor, for example, teaches taught you taught you a research. I can't say my words. This professor taught me research, right? When I want to reach out to this professor, I would tell him, specifically, can you talk about my research experiences and my skills in your classroom? Remember, don't assume that your professors know what to write. If it's somebody that was your manager, dear Mr. Kola, can you please talk specifically about this project I led that led to 10% increase in revenue for the organization? They will say other things, but let them have 2 or 3 specific things that they must say about you. Are people picking up what I am dropping? These are gems, oh, they don't sell it in the market. Are you people picking it up? Where's the energy? Where's everybody?
And they're exclusive
We're here
shares.
now. We're
Okay now.
listening.
Okay now. Okay. This is exclusive. I'm not joking. Try this and let me know if it works. Give them details. Don't assume. Half of us, the problem is that you assume, I was a first class student, so this professor will write one good. I promise you, they will just copy and paste their templates. Copy and paste. Is a good boy, she's a good girl. You are just wasting your time. Be specific. Tell them why you even want to be in this program. Like I said, remember, this is an email that will still have the recommenders document, but this is a sample email that still, in case the person does not look at that document, you still give them information. And like I said, tell them the part that you want them to focus. So if I have 3 recommenders, let's say I have Professor Ola, I would tell Professor Ola, please, Professor Ola, can you focus on that research project that I did with you in 2014? This is a summary of how the project went. Because don't assume that the recommender will remember what you did. I will go to my former manager Maggie, Maggie, and say, Maggie, please, can you talk about that time that I led this $3 million project and how I executed professionally? Then I will come to my current supervisor. Can you talk about how I am great at working with students, specifically how I help to de-escalate XYZ ABC situation? Then, when you are writing your SOP, those are the things you will now write. So that way, have you guys said, na collabo? It will be like this, collaboration. That what you said is also what they are saying. You guys should clap for me. They don't sell these tips in the market. Clap for me. Clap for me. Let me see. Clap
Honestly,
for me.
they don't.
Clap
You
for you.
deserve it.
These
I'm
are the
clapping for
things
you
I've
right
been
now.
teaching students to do. People are not clapping for me, haters in this group. These are the things I've been teaching students to do in the last 2 years, and I promise you it will work. Now, there are some professors who might get rubbed off by things like this, but it's better for you to discard that professor than for the professor to use anger and still write rubbish for you. So forget, oh, this is the HOD of my department, and they write a HOD of my department that writes a generic letter for you can never be greater than assistant professor who pours their heart into your recommendation. That is how to do it. Quality greater than name, quality greater than years, quality, just include that greater than sign 1 million times. That is what you should be chasing. Some of you are busy chasing HOD when you know that HOD does not have the time to sit down and draft a document that will go places. Like I said, even one of my recommenders, she wrote a recommendation letter for me. I didn't see it though, but she messaged me to tell me, I'm so proud of the recommendation letter I wrote for you. I'm sure you're going to go places. Do you have recommenders that can say that about you? These are the things. I have another recommender. She's the one that even messaged me. How far? What is the update? Those are the people that you know that they are chasing, they are running after you, not the people that because they are HOD, you feel that they will be better for you. So this person that asked the question about OND and BSc, OND is a couple of years ago. So in a way, it will be better for you to get your BSc person because there's more what is it called? There's more like their own experiences are more current. But that doesn't mean that the OND should be discarded if the person can give you quality. Are you guys understanding this? I feel like I've been saying the same thing, but do we understand?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank
Where are
you.
some people? Some people have not heard their voice in this conversation. Are people here? Are you guys understanding?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
now, when you message me on LinkedIn, $100, I will send you my invoice for this free
Keep
time.
cooking on. Keep
Okay,
cooking.
so another thing I really want to say that will make it easy for your recommenders, and that's why I said do the distribution early. Now, this is not for people who they hear about grad school in November and they want to sharply apply to grad school. This is for people that have been preparing from June, from July. So they already know in August, September, the schools that they are applying to. This is not for people who in January, please, are schools still open? Those are not the people we're talking about here. We're talking about the people who have been planning. For example, if you are here and you are planning for fall 2026, this is for you. Make sure you send the recommendation request. I'm not joking at the same time. And make sure it's a similar course. Example, let's imagine that I'm applying for agricultural technology and I'm applying for agricultural engineering. They might not be the same course. Professor A should solely be focused on that agricultural technology so that he will write one recommendation that will work for all the schools and send the request at the same time. Open the portal, send the request at the same time so that when he gets those three, the day he decides to sit down and do one, he will knock off those three. If you send one in August, you're on your own because by the time you're sending the one in October, he's already tired. In January, you now come back. Sir, uncle, if you are the one, will you answer the person? But if you send it all at the same time, is a similar course or same course, the day Professor A is ready to do your recommendations, and do you know what? That's what happened when I was doing mine. You just be getting email, oh, this school, all of it, because they are doing it at the same time. Make it easy for people. Some of you, your recommendation requests are so tough. That's why nobody is writing recommendation for you. Are you guys picking up what I am dropping?
Yes.
Let me know.
Yes, ma. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're kind of running out of time. And I want to apologize because I like to keep to time, but I still have a couple of things. If somebody has to go off because of their time, I understand. I believe that Olamide will make the recording available, but I'm going to ride on if that's okay with you
Yeah, I
guys.
should wait though. Don't go and back up. Don't go and rely on recording, please. Yes, we really appreciate your time. I believe they will understand. Thank you.
Okay, so the recommenders doc is my biggest tip, and I've already given you the processes. Like I said, I've told you what to do before. This is for if you are going for fall 2026 and you are still fighting with recommendation. by next year, January, it's because you're not doing the right things. And now, some of you, your concerns are valid. For example, let's imagine that you finished school 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you don't really have the opportunity to have that kind of relationship with your former professors. You can email the school and advocate for yourself. Give a detailed information. I finished school 7 years ago. Unfortunately, most of the professors that lectured me no longer reside in that school. These are some of the options I have. A, to use my managers. B, to use this. What can I do? And usually some schools will make exceptions for you. But don't just sit down, hey, Professor Ayo did not respond to me, I'm finished. That's not the vibe. You have to be solution oriented. What can I do? Okay. Now, some other tips is follow up. Obviously, follow up. Follow up periodically, right? And follow up with their preferred method of communication. That doesn't mean every week. Give them time. And that's why I say open your portals early. There are some schools that they will allow you send out the request early. I know some schools, they will not allow you unless you pay application fee, which I understand. But a lot of schools will allow you send out the request before you even submit. Open your portal. These 3 recommenders, let them receive their 3 or 4 schools requests at the same time. Give them time. After 3 weeks, greet them. Sir, I'm just greeting you. Happy New Year. Another 2 weeks again. Sir, I'm about to submit my recommendations. I said I should say hello to you, and so on. Then make your goals clear. Be consistent. Like I said, don't give this recommender, agricultural technology, then give them agricultural science, then give them a social work. It's not the same. Do you understand? Be consistent so that when they are thinking about what to write, they don't have headaches to start saying, oh, which one is which? Express gratitude. No matter what, for example, I have worked with at least maybe 1,500 students, at least just generally from all the work I have done. There are some students that I know their name, but I promise you, I can't remember anything that they've done. There are some students I know their faces, I don't remember their name. There are some students I know their name, I don't remember their faces. It happens, right? If somebody comes to me, they need to give me enough information so that I can put in a good word for them. I might really like them, but if I don't know where they are going, I cannot match their energy. Some other tips I have is extend grace. Remember that they are human beings with busy schedules. That's why you have to give time. So that when the recommender looks at, this student actually emailed me 3 months ago, they will even feel bad and get to business. Like I had a recommender, she even emailed me, she had to apologize. And this is here in the US though. I know Nigerian professors are a different breed. But my recommender, she was the one that told me, she said, Faye, I'm so sorry about your recommendations. I've not been feeling well, blah, 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 blah. I can get them done today. I'm even the one that pitied. I said, no, don't worry. I understand. There's still time. You can do it next week. And when she did it, I still emailed her again. Thank you so much. I hope you're feeling better. Blah, 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 blah. I'll keep you updated. That is how you build. I have another recommender that said, I would like to go to lunch with you and just check in with you. What am I doing that I cannot follow you? So you have to build those relationships. It's not about build it. What am I doing? Yes, please, I would love to go to lunch with you too. You do what you gotta do. Okay. Another thing, like I said, is move on. That's why remember that list we created. We have a backup. Have a backup for the backup. So that if somebody fails you, you move quickly. Don't start crying. This recommender, I've been begging for 3 years. That's what I did when I first applied to grad school the very first time ever, when I did not have sense that time. I was, hey, hey. If I had backup, maybe I would have moved on fast. So have a backup and move on. And if all else fails, troubleshoot, reach out to the program coordinator, let them know the steps you've taken. I have reached out to all of these professors. You can even put evidence. They will understand. You will not be the first person in the history to have recommendation problems. But like I said, chase quality. Chase quality so that even if it's not a professor that writes for you, but your colleague, the quality will be so sound amongst all the people writing for you that people will be wowed. So choose quality. Okay. In conclusion, you are responsible for you. and you are responsible for your application process. Don't wait. Make effort. Find the right people. Find the right people that will go, they will fight for you. And I'm not joking. I have seen that in my life. That my recommender is the one even telling me, I want to go to lunch with you so I can check in. Like, I want you to, she even, like, anytime she sees me on campus, she'll say, how are things going? Do you have any updates yet? Me, I'll not be saying, no, Kiriko. That's what you need. And you cannot do that if you don't build a relationship. One of my professors is the one, he's the one that even emailed me, I have done everything for you. I really wish you good luck. That is what you need. That the recommenders will even be happy for you when you get in because you have done the work of building relationships. Now, with all of these tips I have given you, go forth and get those amazing letters. Remember, choose quality. Choose quality so that your recommendation letters, they will literally light up your SOP. But in all of this, if you have great recommendation letters and your SOP is not giving, you already know. Control what you can control, which is your own document. Let your documents be soldiers. Then let the recommendation letter literally be like, psh. When they read your SOP, wow, they read your CV, wow, and then they read your recommendation letter, they're like, okay, we got to have this person. That is how you make your applications work for you. All right, this is now the time for questions and answers. Let's have it. Oluwayemi, go ahead.
All right, thank you.